All right, all right. We are here. We are live, and I am checking to see if we can add our dear friend King Simon tonight on the line. I want to say thank you so much for those of you who were on last night. This is 7 days at 7 p.m., 1 hour of power. I'm Kecia Jones. Let's see. Alfonso's here. Hey, hey, hey. Say something to me if you show up. Thank you. All right. Courtney is watching. Alfonso is watching. King Simon is going to be coming on in just a second. So if you don't know what we've been doing, this particular Marlandis, good love, it's good to see you. Chanel Johnson, all right, Sister Gail, good to see you. Hey, hey, hey. Marlandis, is so good to see you. Pierre is on the line. I think happy birthday is in order for you, sir, around the corner. So I am Jerry Woodard, Trafina. Everybody, it is good to see you. We have a really special guest that's coming on tonight to talk to us about numerology. So I'm going to give you some clarity about what this whole session is about for the next 7 days, with the whole 7 days. Hey, it is really about helping us become more advanced creators in our own reality. And if you haven't heard already, I am launching the creation coaching course before the end of the year. So if you've ever been interested in being a coach, you definitely want to make sure that you get into this course, because you'll become certified before we go into 2019. So that is the whole goal of this opportunity. So last night we talked with John Pitts Jr., who talked about the fact that you are creators, that you are divine, which is the first aspect of understanding how to coach somebody else and to know who you're dealing with. Tonight, we're going to talk about the power of numbers and using that. Hey, Alfonso. Shamisa is around the corner, too. All right, I got Brian Sinyard is on the line. Good to see you. And so King Simon I just talked to him. He should be coming on in just a second. We're going to talk about the power of numerology, how to use that in your life, how to access that like your own personal GPS. If you are interested in coaching, we're going to talk about how to use that in your coaching, and even just with your own life and with your own family. So I want to check and see. I'm going to step aside for a second, and I'm going to call King and see if he has found us. Is everybody doing good? I think. Hold on. No. Okay, good. Everybody's doing good. So Sharmise is around the corner. King, have you been able to find us online?
Say again?
Have you been able to find us online?
Okay, let me see if I can get to you, okay?
Okay. Okay. And he's going to be with us in just, you're doing well. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Doing well over. Marlandis, are you in Montgomery? And Chafina, you are amazing, darling. You are amazing. And I know, yeah, that's Trafina. You're definitely a coach on here. Miss Jenny's Pharma. Hi. Good to see you. Good to see you. So we're going to get started in just a second. And I'm going to talk to you. Marlandis, you said you are in Huntsville. Okay. Beautiful. You got to tell me how you like being out in Huntsville. I know you have babies, which are probably not babies anymore. Oh, I see King. So, King Simon is watching. Bring him on. We're going to add him on. This is working. So many technical difficulties, and I'm grateful that you were able to bear with me. We are adding him now. I promise we're going to be good with this. Aw. And your niece is signed on. Thank you, love. My sister said I look lovely. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. It's pretty cool. Yes, you have a diva. I got it. I know you do. I know you do. It's good to see you guys, family. We did it. We did it. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Everybody, let me tell you something. Richard July, it's good to see you on here. I am so ecstatic because this is my friend here. This is my dear friend. And I'm just so blessed to have you here. I want to give a quick intro. There is no way to tell everything about this man. He's going to talk a little bit about what he does in this live. But King Simon, I heard him a couple of years back on Sinetta TV. And it was a group of us all together talking about it. And I knew I had to reach out because there were some answers that I needed. And I found out, I was like, numerology may be some answers. So I reached out, and when I say this dear brother is so on it, it was absolutely amazing. We spent an hour. I did a consultation with him, and the most important thing, this last year I met him in person, and I'm gonna say the thing that excited me the most was that the man that I saw online for a couple of years was the man that I saw in person. Loving, powerful, amazing. So I thank you for being here. King Simon is an author. I'm gonna go over a quick thing, okay? King Simon is the author of Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. And when I say the brother breaks it down, he breaks it down. He also talks about numerology for children. So Courtney's saying, hey, King Simon over here. Tamara's watching. Good to see you, love. He is also the author of numerology as it relates to children and children's health. So if I have parents on here, you really need to pay attention as well, because I say children were born giving you an idea of what they need. And his latest book, he has revised it. No promotion is bad promotion. The ultimate promoter, the king of numerology, none other than Mr. King Simon. How you doing, brother?
Greetings. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. I can hear
Good,
you fine.
good.
Can
Well,
everybody hear King Simon? I
yes,
think
I'm
we're good.
glad. I'm glad. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can see you with your glasses. You've been on the run lately. Oh, I see. What you wearing? What you got
Numbers
on?
are simple.
Your
People are
numbers are simple.
complicated, sir.
Numbers are simple. People are complicated. All right, y'all. Let me tell you what we did the other night. We spent a good amount of time in here, but we're gonna make sure that we modify our time. I'm gonna do 60 minutes. We got an hour together, and I don't want to waste any time. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
talk to me. Talk to me. I want to start with what I feel like most people on here are gonna say for people who don't know anything about numerology, okay?
Mhm.
This isn't their wheelhouse. What's the first
Right.
thing that you want people to know as it relates to numerology?
First thing I want everyone to know and understand is that numerology is an ology. Anything with ology at the end of it means a study of.
Yes.
Just like meteorology, everybody pay attention to weather and atmospheric changes. Meteorology, biology, everybody studying the body and all that. Zoology, studying animal life and all that different things. So if there's a numer in front of ology, that only means the study of numbers.
Yes.
So any level and degree of using or applying numbers is what we call numerology, especially from the Pythagoras point of view, because Pythagoras is one of their great scholars that had a mastery over numbers, but
Right.
also incorporated it to music and health and different other things as far as that. So the study of numbers is what numerology is, basically.
So so you're saying it's nothing to be afraid of.
No,
It's not a taboo or anything like that. It is
it shouldn't
literally
be.
a study.
It's literally a study, just like chronology, the chronology of this, the chronology of that. That's mapping out time of, like, you have a chronology, I have a chronology, our family has a chronology. Studying those things, anything with an ology at the end, it's dealing with the study. So numbers, although it has been quote unquote demonized over the years, but
Yeah.
it has existed over 11,000 years prior to Pythagoras.
Over
Just building
11,000
over,
years.
over 11,000 years. And
So go
remember
ahead.
now, any form and every level of studying mathematics and dealing with numbers is numerology. So
Right.
even the builders of the pyramids, the builders of the great temples, and this is an African science without a
Yes.
doubt, because remember, if you study the history of Pythagoras, Pythagoras was exiled out of his country, which it was either Rome or Greek. I can't remember fully right now, but he was exiled and he studied all of the ancient sciences from all over that region that he went. He went to India, he went to Africa, Samaria, went to all these Chaldea and all these different places, which were all connected and all in the same area. And then he came back after 22 to 23 years and
Mhm.
brought it back to his people of Greece. And that's when it became the Pythagorean system or the Pythagorean system. So if you understand their greatest modern scientist of a scholar of numbers, and where he got it from. Every book that I've read, either European or Indian or Black, always take you back to ancient Egypt. It takes you back to Samaria, it takes you back to India, it takes you back to the ancient study of darker hue people that had this. Because we are living mathematics. As human beings, we are breath. We are living breath. We are living width. We are living depth. We are mathematics in multiple ways. And we just need to understand that.
Yeah, which is interesting, because when you say we are mathematics, I think it even comes down to, we talked about the time that you were born, the season that you came into the world, why all of that is important. I remember last night we talked about you were born for such a time as this. At a specific time you were here. So there's a reason for that. Nothing is an accident. But I need to ask you this question. Why do you feel like it was demonized? Can you hear me? I think we might have got you.
You got me? You got me? Go ahead.
I got you.
I missed part. Okay, good.
No, I was saying, why do you feel like this is a science? Now we know that other people use this science easily and effortlessly, okay? But why do you think it has been demonized in certain groups, especially among melanated people? Why is that the case?
Well, after what happened, sister, it's all due to what happened over the slave trade. And what European, remember, anytime somebody wants to control you, they take away what was valuable to you and what made you who you are, to make you the very best. Because in ancient times, we used to chart ourselves. Now, think about this. A lot of people go by the Bible, or might go by the Quran, or different other higher scriptures, which I have nothing against, as long as you study it from as long as you study the Bible and willing to also study beyond and know the chronology of it, know the history behind it, why it was set up, why King James wrote a book, why Jehovah's Witness wrote a book, why, and who was the people and what was their biases around writing all those books. Who was there? Who were the people? And most of us in our sojourn here to North America received it through the slave trade. And most of us know that the Bible and or the Quran or different scriptures was used to control us. That's why Nat Turner had an uprising, but he read the Bible a different way. That's why you could study the history of the Jesuits. You could study the history of the Templars and the Crusades and why they was doing what they were doing. And most of us, we wasn't even there when they were doing all the killing and war. And a lot of that we wasn't there, but we was a part of the first Wall Street, which was the slave trade, the stock. We was the people. And then they had to indoctrinate us and take us away from our quote unquote pagan ways. Anything that did not agree with Europe and its ways was called pagan. That's why women was called witches back in the day, when in etymology, the word witch means wise woman.
Wow.
And then you was demonized or burnt on the stake because you was wiser than the European men of that day and time, or the European men or the European leaders of that day and time. So if you showed any form of wisdom, like how wise you are, in medieval times, you would have been burnt at a stake because you're too wise or you have too much information. It's you can study it. All people do have to do is research. Yeah. But a lot of us, remember the old saying, if you want to keep anything from Black people, put it in a book.
Put it in a book. Yeah.
And remember, they rewrote history for themselves and then put them at the top and the lead of history.
Yeah.
Like I said, Pythagoras is a Johnny-come-lately to numerology. It was the Chaldeans, who was darker hue people like me, as dark as me. Chaldeans and the Indians, or the people from India and the people out of Samaria that was darker hue people like ourselves. Yeah. And those were the ones that was practicing it, but they wasn't practicing it for a vain purpose. And remember, it's 11,000 years old, more older than even when the Bible came into play.
Say that again, sir. Yes.
It's 11,000 years old, but it's more older than when the Bible came into play. Now, think about this, family. I want everybody, common sense, because a lot of us has lost common sense. And the most uncommonest thing is common sense. Think about it. They're carbon dating our history going back beyond tens of thousands of years with, well, whether it's dealing with the Twa people, the original people, which they denote as pygmies, whether it's dealing with the ancient African people and why they burnt down the temples and all the libraries, like Alexandria was burnt down, like Luxor, they was trying to destroy Luxor, they tried to destroy Timbuktu. Why would they destroy our libraries? Or why would they steal and pillage a lot of stuff and then put it in the Vatican or put it in different museums and hide it in different places of who we are? I know anybody that goes over to Kemet or Egypt, you see these thick-lipped people and these thick, broad-faced people, and then they'll dare to say those was aliens. Then we are the aliens that they talking about. We are the aliens that they're talking about. So if we have common sense, what would, if you was European, think about it. These are people that came out of the Caucasus Mountains, that didn't have a language, didn't know how to use fire, didn't know how to bathe. Remember, the greatest king in Europe, prior to them getting anything right, lived in a tent when we was building edifices and temples way before that.
Yeah.
Think about it. So, and these edifices and different temples were mathematically structured. I dare to say, by studying astronomy, not astrology, studying astronomy, you'll find that the pyramids are aligned exactly with, or the Giza pyramids are aligned exactly with certain star constellations. Right. It's already proven. They're telling you this, but they want to give it to aliens. But the Dogons, who didn't have a telescope and didn't have all these, well, as far as we know, they didn't have this. The Dogons mapped out the universe and the stars just by writing it down on dirt and showed you where our planetary alignments were at certain parts of the world, at certain parts of the universe, and our connection to it. When you think about the word heaven, what do you think about, Kecia? What do you think about when you hear heaven?
Well, as it's been taught, this place that you're supposed to go to after you leave this realm. Yes.
Very good. And where is that? Heaven is a haven. There's some type of heaven haven. What made them change the words?
Yeah.
Heaven and haven is the same word. There's some type of haven you're supposed to go to, some type of heaven you're supposed to go, but it's been called heaven for a reason, for religious reasons. And that's through the Jesuits. That's through the European Jews. That's through the European or the so-called mixed Arabs. Remember, Arabs was our slave masters 1,000 years prior to Europe. That's why up to this day, I don't even really trust them. I'm just being honest. Right. I love all human life, but I'm very wary of people that has not risen to a higher level of expectation in this realm. Right. And I say this realm very strongly because this is a finite world. This is a finite world. We all came from the infinite and came to the finite to enjoy or experience this realm, and then we go back to the infinite because we are dead longer than we are alive. Let's be real with this. Yeah. So if you're looking for a haven or a heaven one day, so it behooves you to start learning to guide yourself from within and understand that everything else around you is an illusion. And numerology is one of those signs that just helps to guide you to understand who you are from within so you can bring it out. That's why the old song is called, remember the song? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a
dream.
Thank you very much. Life is but a dream here in this realm. Life is a dream, but we got to make do and maintain. And I understand that. So numerology, astrology, and all the so-called divination science, remember the root word of divination is divination.
Yes. Huh?
Yeah. It's divination. Exactly. So we got to be careful of word because they played word games with us. Just like the word God can be flipped to dog. And, you know, the word live can be flipped to evil, and lived means devil. They flip words. Right. And we got to, remember, Europeans became wordsmith after they controlled us, and they did the Renaissance for over 1,000 years and switched up all the books and rewrote, had all their scholars do what they have to. And yes, the Bible, the Quran has been a part of that whole switching. Yeah. It's just what it is, because there's a version. It doesn't say, the Bible doesn't say this is God's version. It says this is King James version. Right. This is Schofield's version. This is Jehovah Witness version. This is the Mormons version. We forget that they're giving us versions through translation, and they're not even coming from the original translation, whether it's Hebrew, Amharic. They're not even coming from the original translation. Right. Something's going on. That's why in Roots, and I know everybody can concur to this, in Roots, why you think they took Kunta Kinte and kept on imposing a new name on him, changing his name. Kunta Kinte was a royal name. Everybody know the Kente African cloth. That's a royal cloth in certain parts of Africa of where he came from. And Kunta was a royal name. Yeah. They took it and gave him Toby. Toby has nothing, means nothing to us. But because they changed our language, they took away our language, they took away our fourways, our mores, our sciences. And I have a book right here I want to show people. Good book to get. This is called The Technologies of the Gods. The Technologies of the Gods. The Incredible Science of the Ancients. This is our science. Yeah. They're showing airplane structures coming out of different temples that we were building long time before they even discovered an airplane. We had the wheel long before they discovered the wheel. Yeah. We had it. It's in the books. It's in our books, but we don't read. We don't want to research. We don't want to study. We don't want to look it up. It's deep, sister. I'm loving every moment that I'm in. Go ahead.
I love every bit of this because it goes back to what we said this last night. You have to read beyond what you've been given. You have to seek beyond what was handed down from you, from parents, grandparents, or whatnot, because they could only give you what they had at that point. But we have moved into, because of the information age, we have moved to a place where knowledge is not a question. You can get it if you seek it. Okay. And this is, I want to tell everybody, this is actually why I have King Simon on here. This is why we're doing this series, because I know for me, it was necessary to go beyond my tribe to seek out, to find. And once we seek, I love my family. So we're doing this because it's going to help you understanding your own science. I really think numerology goes, when we're talking about the science and the mathematics of it, it's understanding your divine self. What makes you unique, okay? Because my number is different from your number, but we have similarities, which we're here on the 19th. So let's dig into that whole numerology piece. I got people on here right now. Noreen at Peace says he needs to do a history class because I'm loving the way he's teaching. Thank you so much. Anthony Johnson, everything is backwards true, which is the whole concept of a spelling bee.
Everything is backwards. Exactly. Everything is backwards.
Yeah. You got to understand the wording and look beyond. Go ahead.
Well, you know, family, and first of all, let me say thank you for allowing me to be on your platform. I am honored to be with you, the great one. You are the great one, Mrs. Jones. They sang about you in the past already. They sang about you and all your whole Jones family. Okay. So, but like Les Brown, who is I've worked with him for a month one time in my life. Les Brown is one of the great influencers of my journey. But I've also been through a lot of religious journey, not looking for God, but just maintaining discipline, because I already knew where God existed within me. Yeah. I'm also an ordained minister. People don't know that. I don't tell too much people, but I am ordained to give funerals, weddings, I'm ordained to do that. I've been ordained for at least a good 3-4 years now. And I'm ordained into a spiritual connection, and I'm able to do funerals, weddings, and all that for different modalities and different religious organizations. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that accomplishment that I've done, and due to studying. My library is just a little bit compared to what you see in the background. But let me explain briefly about numerology. The study of numbers connected to you. Les Brown said something very key. He was quoting somebody else, but I don't remember who he quoted, but he said, the 2 most important days of your life is the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born. Yeah. Let that resonate with you some. Yeah. Some of us, because of the traumas in our life, because of what we've gone through in our life, from here to Africa, from here to China, from here to Japan, from here to anywhere, but let's specifically deal with people in America and our people around the diaspora. Some of us don't know our next move, our next path, or don't know at least our gifts, our skills, our talents, and what can make us better, because maybe our parents, they didn't teach us. Maybe our parents wasn't there. Maybe that's why my book is called Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. 1 plus 1 is always going to be 2. But if you put 2 people one-on-one who don't know how to communicate with each other, yeah. That could be a problem. If they don't give a give and take, as far as I'm doing numerology, I do numerology to help guide people to be their very best. And I always say in different interviews, this is not the is all or be all, because at the end of the day, it all begins with you and ends with you, because the creator gave us willpower. Right. Willpower to say yay or nay, but you will know. Because most of us in business, most of us in dealing with numbers, we always say numbers don't lie, numbers don't lie. Okay, right. Numbers don't lie with money, numbers don't lie in business, numbers don't lie on Wall Street, numbers don't lie on the internet. But when it comes to our numbers, our personal numbers, now it lies. Now it's lying because it's us. Numbers has a duality, Kecia, and your audience. There's a duality in numbers where you have the high frequency and low frequency of numbers, or the high vibration and low vibration. Some may call it on this realm positive and negative, but every one of us have positive and negative inside of us. We have protons and neutrons, if you want to get scientific, which is a positive and negative charge in each and every one of us. And all of our atoms, all of our cells, it's in there. And all of us have the willpower to either take that positive road or take that negative road. Some people stay homeless and stay complacent because they get comfortable and complacent where they are. And I've seen homeless people on the street. I've met doctors that used to be doctors out there in the world, but due to trauma of liquor and drugs, became homeless.
Right.
He has a choice. He had the choice. He made that choice. But what is it that would maintain his discipline to stay in the doctoral realm to be his very best? He has to constantly, anybody with certain types of energy and certain type of connection to their numbers have to learn to maintain that discipline by either staying motivated, staying focused, and have goals. Because like Les Brown used to say, he says, boom, he said, people with goals live longer.
Yeah.
People with goals live longer. You got a goal, you will live longer. So that's good. And yes, people might argue and say, well, when God is ready to take you, no doubt. When God is ready to take you, you're absolutely right. When your time is up. But it's what you did between the time you came out your mama's womb to the time you pass on. I don't care how long it was, how long it is, or how long it was. What is it that you're going to do? Now, we can't blame the baby that was aborted. We can't blame the baby that died because of complication. We can't blame that. But what you have done between the time you were born to, let's say you died at 20, what did you do? Right. What has happened? What impact did you make? Because if you believe in Jesus, Jesus made an impact as 12, as young as 12 years old and 13 years of old. He was debating the great scholars in the temple. We got to remember these things. Right. So if you're trying to be like the Christ, because that's what if you're trying to be like the Christ, that is what the scriptures implore you to do. It's not to so much always constantly say that Christ is there and you are there. It says if you had faith of a mustard seed, you're supposed to be able to do great things. You're supposed to be able to do great. So why aren't you moving mountains if you had faith? Or do you have faith at all? Do you really have faith? Are you faking the faith? Amen.
You can go. And that's true, because even here at the Creation Institute, and this is why we're doing this, to help you recognize that you are a creator of your own existence. You are a creator of your own life. But in order to do that, you have to know yourself. You have to know thyself, because everything that we say Christ did, it is because he was knowledgeable of who he was. If you want to use that in the scriptures as an example, to be able to say when it was done, it is finished. So when you are able to say that, did you finish the work? Now, I want to get into some questions. There's a question that was on the line, and because we have different people from different backgrounds, but most of this is my family and home. But someone brought up numerology and zodiac signs and astrology. Sure. And I think it would be good to define the difference between astrology, astronomy, and numerology where that's concerned. But she said, so the zodiac sign, is it of the devil or not? Now, I'm just going to throw that out there so you can play with it the way you want to play with it.
That's interesting, because people said that to me on an interview before. And I said, let me ask you a question. Was the devil known as an angel and light of God at one time?
Yes.
So he was the bright and morning star at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So all the wisdom, just because all the wisdom that he had and he came down and then fell from grace, does that mean that took away the wisdom that God gave him?
No, sir.
It's how you use zodiacs.
Yes.
It's how, because the zodiac in ancient times was a calendar. It represents the calendar that we use today. We represent, and if you look in the sky, if you look into the stars, at certain points of the night, you'll see the constellation of Orion and those different constellations coming back in order. It's a spin. Remember, in astrology, astrology is when you study the different houses and study the sun and the moon and the Venus and the different parts of the houses of you. It's more intricate than numerology, but the astrology is good if it's good for guidance. If you're using it to do devious things and craziest things, that's when it becomes a problem. Like, you might have a person that might use it to say, all right, my girl here is a Sag, I'm Aquarius, this is what we could do, because if we come together, boom, 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 boom. He's not using it for the right way. Although what he's saying might be true. It can work. But if you're using it just to be a playboy and just to track and do what you got to do, then that could be a problem. Everything has a duality. Ask that person, would she say that the Bible is demonic? Look how many people have used the Bible for slavery. Look how many people have used the Bible for start wars in the name of racism and all that. Think about those things. So the scripture can be used for anything. Look how many people are looking at Muslims because of the Quran as something of evil. When I know some good Muslims, I even went through the school of Islam, and I consider myself all of them, because all of them have a truth. So no, a zodiac can't be evil. It's how you apply it and what you use and to do with it. Just like NASA. You study NASA and you study how they use astronomy to wage war on certain people, and how they determine their moves, how they're going to move in war, when they're going to strike. They use these calendar systems for a reason, but nobody told them to use it that way. But it can be used for positive and negative in this realm. But in other words, the zodiac is just a guidance and a map for you to become the Christ figure in your own realm. You have to become the messianic figure. And that's when you recognize the greatness in you and use it. So even if you're Aquarius or you're a Leo, if you understand the positive modes of the Leo and positive and negative, you try to strengthen your strength of the positive and manage the weakness of the Leo. Because we know Leos can be sometimes arrogant and crazy, and we know that. But there's a positive of the Leo, because the saying of the Leo is, I rule. What are you ruling? You rule yourself. And once you understand to rule yourself, the saying of the Aquarius, I know what? I know everything. No, I know myself first. It goes right back into you. See, the onus, one thing about astrology or numerology, it gives you the onus to do what you're supposed to do for yourself, not depending on anybody, because Jesus already left the way. Muhammad already left the path. It's up to you what you do now with it. What do you do with the Bible? What do you do with the scripture? You still praising Jesus and doing nothing? That's not what your Christ did. That's not what your Muhammad did. That's what your Moses did. So we got to understand that each one of those people that we revere so much and show so much respect was an example, or a spiritual example, of what we can become in our own life. Is everybody in your family going to do it? Nah, hell no, that ain't happening. Everybody in your family ain't going to try to be like Christ. Everybody in your family not going to try to be like Moses. Everybody not going to try to be like Muhammad. Everybody not going to try to be like Ezekiel. They said throughout the scriptures, there's 24,000 prophets and prophetess, but you only hear about main ones. That according to chronology and history, it's 24,000 prophets and prophetess. How many do you hear about? You don't hear about all 20. And you hardly hear about the women one.
Hello, not one. I would thank you.
Hardly hear. No women angels. So who's writing the book? Who's removing the women out of this? That's why we're in the age of the women now. You can't remove women. That's why the Me Too movement, that's why all this stuff is coming out, because the women are now standing up. And that goes along with the numerology, because soon as the year 2000 came in, that was called the feminine energy. That's why the feminine are standing up. But 2 represents balance. It don't mean to negate the male. It means that men has to balance the scale and work together to help them be better, so we can accomplish the goal. Because men did what they had to do in the 1800s and the 1900s. We did all the damn thing. We did the darn thing. We've caused war. We've caused problems. We did all kinds of stuff. But there was a time, family, that in ancient times, Black men and black women stood together. It's not like in the Romans or Greeks or in the English time where women had to walk 10 paces behind them. Remember, the greatest temple built in Kemet or Egypt was the temple of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was the greatest temple. Dr. Ben spoke about it. Dr. Clark spoke about it. Some great scholars spoke about it. And that was the greatest temple ever built. You know that temple could hold over 5 Empire State Buildings? People don't even know how great that, and in history, women was called heaven on earth. Now, it's not to worship the woman and all that. It's just to understand the value of when a woman allows men to come into their womb, which is which brings forth the physical being that comes from the spiritual realm and come to the earth by the union of man and woman. Once you've destroyed and messed that up, there's a problem. So numerology helps to point out what is your greatness? What is your GPS? What is your natural GPS due to your birthday? What is the natural GPS due to your name? That's what numerology points out. And then I give you, when I do a numerology session with you, I say, look here, I'm like a GPS. I triangulate what's going on in your life, and you can either take the long road or the short road. Many people take the long road. Some people take the long road. And you know why they take the long road, Kecia? It's because of the trauma and the drama of their past. They've been hurt. Somebody's been molested. And numbers point that out too. When you've been hurt and all that kind of stuff, it points out when you had daddy issues or you have a male and female issue, or on the positive, when you had a good relationship with dad or mom, it points out. Usually when people have good relationship with their mom and dad, it's not that it's bad, but people start looking for their mates to be like their mom or their dad.
Right.
And it's not like that. You can't expect somebody to be your mom and your dad. Your mom and your dad is your mom and your dad. So in numerology, I point that out to help guide you to understand what you need to do and how you need to do. It's just like a GPS. It tells you to turn left. You decide to turn right. Now you got a longer way because he told you to turn left. In Jamaica, they got the GPS that speaks patois. You know, for go that way. You know, for go that way. You must turn left. You must turn right. Where y'all go? Me not tell you to turn that way. That's exactly.
Yeah. But no, I get you. No. But I want to get into what you were saying about the GPS, because in this age, we are moving from this, even the concept of being a follower of Christ, to being Christ in the earth. And what does that look like? That means you know yourself. So these numbers, I'm going to tell you, King, I don't think I even showed it to you. I created a book of myself. Based off of our session together, based off of my session with other people as it relates to astrology, so that every day, I mean, I know people that look at their Bible every day, which is beautiful, but you should be able to look at the book of yourself. And if you're interested in this creation coaching program, we work with you to help you create your own book so you can keep looking at what you're writing and where you're supposed to go. So let's talk about this GPS. If numerology is the GPS, break this down in terms of numbers. Now, if you're watching and you got a question or if you want to throw in some numbers and we talk about that, more than welcome. But we're going to talk about what do you mean by it's a GPS system?
Very good. Okay, so we all have a GPS now. Back in my day, this is what we used to use, the Rand McNally Atlas.
The Atlas, got it.
Rand McNally Road Atlas. This is what we used to use, or we use our memory. So in numerology, what we try to do is bring you back to your memory again. Bring you back to who you are and what you are, or what you always knew you were. So what I do in numerology, let's say we're dealing with the birthday. In the birthday, there's 4 different core numbers in your birthday. One is called the alignment or the achievement number. The next one is called the personality number. The next one is called the year number. And the last one is called the life path, which is a path that follows you. That's your life path. And how you get that, I want the audience to know they can do this for themselves. That's why I teach online classes on numerology basics. You can add, let's deal with the life path first. Let's say you add your birthday, the day you were born, with the month you were born, with the actual year you were born, and then whatever it comes up to is what we call your life path. Now, if it comes up to 4 different numbers, then you try to break it down to the double number or 1 number. So let's say, all right, for instance, my birthday is February 1st, 2 + 1 + 1967. That
Yes.
equals 1970. So if it comes up to 1970, I add the 1 plus the 9, which is a 10, plus the 7, which is 17. So that would become my first compound number as far as my life path. But then I add the 1 and the 7, which is an 8, and that would be the complete life path. My life path would be a number 8. So in numerology, the GPS factor is if you understood your alignment number, which aligns you to what you're supposed to do, like me being born on the 2nd or the 1st, being born on the 1st of February, 2 plus 1 equals 3. That's the alignment number. 3 represents being happy, jovial, optimistic, but also it's a person that writes, that speaks for a living. That's telling you what you're supposed to do. Some of us run away from what we're supposed to do. Right. And I heard Ian Levanzant once says, some of us teach what we need to learn. And I heard a young person say, sometimes you got to find your flow and speak what you know and find your flow. A lot of people run away from our talents. Why do we run away from? That's the first number that I see in your charts. If I see a 3 in your charts, then I know exactly what your talent would be. You can have the gift of gab. Maybe you know how to write. If you don't like to talk, you can write well. You start seeing your penmanship looking good, or you'll be able to do certain things. It's all how you understand the numbers and how they work for you. Because like I said earlier, numbers reveal through, like a GPS, it reveals where you're going, how you're going to get there, and what's the stop. You know what I'm saying? That's what numerology does. Where you're going, how you going to get there, and what's the stop. And even at the stop, there's no stopping because there's a continuation, because everything has a cycle, everything in it has a season. Just like the Bible says in Ecclesiastes, everything has a season. Everything has a time and a season, and numerology reveals that time and season through your birthday and through the name that you're born. Because numerology is the only science that transpose letters into numbers. The one, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z has a number connected to it.
So that even goes to our name. So like the name that we were born with, there's a numerology of your own name.
Yes, it is. Right. Yeah. And that also, and those things reveal your personal numbers. It reveals your deeper soul edge when you, now let me explain the name. I'm glad that you mentioned that. If you're reading when I read a person's name, family, let me make sure y'all can see me here. Tilt this up a little. Okay, good.
And you can use me because these people know me as an example if you need to. Go ahead.
Okay, no, yeah, you get your free reader right now, girl.
Well, I've already had mine, so I know me. Go ahead. You know that. Anyway, go on.
No, now put it like this. Okay, let's say we're dealing with Kecia, all right? And you spell your name Kecia, right?
Correct.
Okay. Each letter, the K, the E, the C, the I, and A, can transpose to a number. K represents 2 in numerology, and especially in the Chaldean. And I like using the ancient system because it comes from us. Before they added the 9, I use the ancient system of the Chaldeans because it gives a more deeper mystical meaning about that person. So let's say the K equals 2, right? And the E equals 5. The C equals 3, the I equals 1, and the A equals 1, and that equals up to 12. Tells me she's a speaker. Tells me that she's a writer. It tells me that she's very optimistic and always should keep a joyous attitude about herself. But because it adds up to 12, the doubling of the number, the compound number, is very significant. So it tells me that she's a very loving person, and she has to be very careful of not being the sacrificial lamb for other people's business. Oh, I see. Your face is being made up for some reason, child. What did I say?
I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. Yeah.
I'm just saying. See
yourself in the numbers, people. It's the truth. Yeah.
It's powerful. And it's not because me and her's friends. I can do it with anybody. I can do it with anybody with any type of names. I mean, they got this in China. I study them all. They got it in Japan. They got it in all. They understand numbers. And China and Japan, China is supposed to be the next one that might be the oldest civilization. But it's also in India. This is a book written by an Indian who's been dead for years. This guy's an Indian. Very good book. I put these books up so you can get them yourself. Anybody who don't come to you with a bibliography about what to get and what to read and what to study and understand for yourself, because I don't want no followers. If you come to me after you've done your study, if you come to me, you coming to me for confirmation, because numerology is here to confirm what you've already had inside of you, deep within you. All of you know what you're supposed to do intuitively. Numerology just makes it tangible because a lot of us been through trauma. A lot of us going through indecisiveness. A lot of us are second guessing ourselves. But numerology helps to show you exactly what it is and what it ain't. What's the negative? What's the positive? If you take this road, that's up to you. If you want to take that road, it's still a lesson or a blessing. It's up to you whether you make it a curse. Yeah. We got roads to take. There's plenty roads out there. Just like in Jamaica, we used to sing a song called A Lot of Roads with Many Signs, Roads and More Signs. We got to make up our mind to face reality all the time. That's how the song goes. We got to make up our mind to face reality all the time. And numerology gives you that map. Just like we use meteorology to look at the weather patterns. That's why we used to use the map, Rand McNally. Now we're using GPS. It just gives you that map. So going back to Kecia, remember her birthday is December the 10th. Am I right, Kecia?
You are correct.
Oh. Now, the 12 plus the 10 with her birthday equals master number 22. So when I tell people that they have a master number, now let me explain the master number. First, there's many master numbers, but the predominant master numbers that I'm dealing with is the 11, the 22, and the 33. But I'm dealing with 11 and 22 only because there's not a 33 day of the week. But her alignment number, this beautiful sister's alignment number is a 22, which is a master number. So it tells me that whatever she does, she has to lay the foundation and build it and make sure everything is laid. She cannot front. She cannot sidestep. She can't skip over. If she's building a staircase, she can't just build the first stair and then build the third stair. She has to build the whole ideal of the staircase and then walk on top of each and make sure every one of them is firm. Also, it's a master builder number. Many people born under the master numbers have accomplished some great things. People like Shaggy, the reggae artist, is born under the master number. Beanie Man, the reggae artist, is born under the master number. Taraji P. Henderson is born under the master number 11. Minister Farrakhan is born under the master number 11. People like Sam Cooke was born the 22nd of the month. Those master numbers, they mastered their craft of what they do in their field. Do they have problems? Of course they have problems, because it's life. You go through problems, but numerology helps you to guide and at least recognize what can arise in your life and understand the different things in your life, so you can at least manage it when it comes. Manage it without the fear of it. We have to overcome fear. And I suggest everybody read books like Think and Grow Rich, Law of Success, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, things that will trigger your mind to constantly be successful in this realm in a righteous means, righteously doing what you got to do. Because when you go to the scriptures, you find that the prophets all came from a rich lineage. Let's not become. Solomon was one of the richest men, and there's a descendancy from Solomon and David to Jesus. Now, don't forget, that's Luke 3. You can break down Luke, all in Luke 3. It breaks that whole lineage down all the way to Adam, and then they call Adam the son of God. Whoa, wait a minute. So now let's not go there. I'm not gonna get that deep. I could.
But it's interesting. You mentioned we cannot be afraid, because one of the comments, I got you. He said this is called witchcraft where I come from. And
yes, it is.
And that's another reason why there's a fear around it. But do you want to speak to that?
Yes, I want to speak. Like I said earlier, they probably just got on. The word witch in etymology means wise. The word Wicca means wise. So we got to remember, they took away our language. They took away our foreways and moreways and norms, and they turned everything that we had positive into something wicked. Europeans did this. I'm going to be real. Arabs did this. I'm going to be real. There's people that did this to us. And we got to remember. And am I telling you to hate them? No. I'm telling you to understand that if you came from the culture where they came from, a barbaric culture coming out of, especially Europeans coming out of the Caucasus Mountains and all that kind of stuff, where they used to have sex with animals and dogs. And when they came down into Africa and seen the beauty of our women and seen the beauty of our temples, they used to praise us as gods. They used to look at us as the great ones. But they wanted, because of their nature, where they came out of, is what inside of them is what made them do and turn against us and started pillaging us and destroying. Remember, a lot of the stuff that happened in Egypt, I want y'all to study this. Remember to study that stuff that happened in Egypt is when the Greeks and the Romans invaded Egypt. A lot of the craziness that started turning over in Egypt, because Egypt was the mouthpiece of Africa. That's what John Henry Clark said. That's what Dr. Ben said. That was the mouthpiece of Africa. So when people talk about this is witchcraft and this is study words, even the word nice. A lot of us like to use the word nice, and in etymology, nice means stupid. Okay. You're nice, huh? Oh, she looks nice. She really looking stupid if you go to the root word of the meaning.
Right.
Study the word queen. In etymology, queen means the king's whore. That's why I don't call women queen. I call them empresses.
Oh, come on.
I don't call women queen no more. Because when you, as a child, you remember what it says. As a child, you doing through things as a child, but when you become a man, you do.
Yeah.
That's why when I started researching and studying, words and the way they play with words with us, we have to get into our own understanding and our own in-depth and be willing to stop being lazy with the study. You see the books I'm reading? I'm reading thick books like this. This one is called The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. He has some lectures up there, but he breaks it all down. These are some books that I like to say. And I'm going to show y'all something. I want to show y'all something because a lot of us are caught up in just what we were taught. I want to ask anybody out there, anybody that was a baby or anybody that has a baby, does a baby know about Jesus or God when they come out the womb?
Not a one.
No baby know about Jesus. No baby know about devil. No, we, the parents, teach the children. Right. We are the first indoctrinators, mind controllers of our children because of what we was taught, we passed down. Traditions are like pots and pans, like they used to say. Traditions like pots and pans. Okay. So you got to be very careful of what tradition you passing on and from whose heart and whose essence it came from, especially when they translated a lot and took away from us. But without getting into that, it's not witchcraft in the sense of what they taught about witches on brooms and all that kind of stuff. It's wise women information, wise men information. That means you're wise. And what does it say in the scripture? It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but only fools despise wisdom and instructions. So you're despising the witch and the instruction from the. Right. So you can't see, remember the words. They word played with us. Right. Wise. That's all the word. That's what Wicca means, wise. Now, what people do with it, corrupting it, that's the problem. Most people corrupt the word witch. That's why all of us, when we think of Halloween, we think of witch. When we think of magic, we think of somebody doing a sleight of hands, when the original magi was the wise men of the time. Right. Studying history again. You got to go into chronology. You got to go into history. You got to know. A good book for that also is one written by Anthony T. Browder. The Nile Valley Civilization.
Oh, yeah.
By Anthony T. Browder. He speaks in Washington, D.C. all the time. He's from Washington, D.C. A next good book is for people by George G.M. James, Stolen Legacy. Very good. I'm putting up these books for a reason. If a person come before you and not willing to give you some kind of bibliography of what they're talking about, something's wrong. The next good book. Go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to tell the audience, as you're pulling these books up, we're going to make a list so that they are available to you, so that you can do your own research on your own. Because that's the thing. It is not about believing what somebody else is telling you. It is about searching, study to show thyself approved. You have to study for yourself and get that knowledge of yourself. Go ahead and give the book. But I want to make sure you know, I'm going to give you a list when we finish, okay?
Here's a good book by a Black scholar, The Chronology of the Bible. He goes way back to when it came out, to all the different versions of the Bible that came out. Erasmus had a version. Gettysburg had a version. Martin Luther had a version. different versions of the book, and then they change names and they change words and they try to keep the essence of the book. Then you find out, then here's another book. This is a book written by Kecia Graves, The World's 16 Crucified Saviors.
Yes.
Woo! Woo!
You gotta read that.
It's a hot book. Hot book. Some people get afraid of when they see these books, but the research and the scholarship in that book, comparing to the Buddha and all these different 16 crucified saviors, has a similarity to what we've been taught. Actually, Jesus is the youngest story. It's the youngest story. And we got to recognize in Kemet or Egypt, it was Heru. It's there. It's all there. We already taught this thousands and thousands of years ago, but we need to study, fam, especially Black folks, because we was the ones that was coerced. We was the one that was taken from our land of plenty, and then carried over to this land of slavery. And then now we're living in it in a mental slavery. Now we have to be under other people's boots. And I'm saying, look, I'm saying this, family. What I do as a numerologist is help to guide you through these loopholes, through what you was born under. Even the calendar is not the same because we're under the Gregorian calendar, but because all of us put our energy into it, it is what it is. It's just like paper money. Paper money is not backed by gold anymore. Back in the day, it said it used to be backed by either silver or gold. Right. So if it's not backed by it, no, it's a promissory note, then there's something wrong. Right. That means you can't really turn it in for gold or silver anymore. So there's something wrong. And I don't want to delve into that. I could go there too.
I'm studying backed by belief, but that's a whole nother story as well. But to dig into, someone mentioned, I never knew how to apply numerology to my practical life. Okay. On the flyer, we mentioned, we're going to also talk about how this affects your health. And I know we don't have a lot of time. Where you at, right. Okay, we're going to talk about how numerology is connected to your health, because he talked about your strengths and your challenges as it relates to your numbers, because your numbers will tell you some amazing things about you, but it will also tell you the things that you need to be mindful of as it relates to your health, your relationships, and your money. Before you get married, that's some stuff you should look at. And stuff about your health you should look at. So can you talk a little bit about that, and maybe we can break down the numbers 1 through 9 really quickly? I don't know if we have time, but I'm gonna leave that to you.
No problem. Now the sister says that now the question was from that sister what she said, but there was she don't know how.
The comment was, I didn't know how to apply this to my actual life. How do I apply numerology to my life?
Well, tell her she applies it already on a mundane level by having a calendar with numbers. You always, by using the watch on your wrist or the time on your phone, you apply it already. Now, how is it applied to you personally? Put it like this. Now, you want me to go down the health route, or you want me to compare it to the calendar and how they should use it?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, let's do some health, because there's a lot of things going on health-wise. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, all right. Now, in numerology, my family, just like going to a doctor and they tell you to write down your birthday and all that kind of stuff, they study the numerology and astrology too. There's a thing called medical astrology. There's a thing called numerology, medical numerology. There's also, if you got people looking at your tongue and looking at your teeth and looking at your hands, palmistry numerology. Your eyes, iridology. Those are different studies. Matter of fact, this book here is good by Dr. Laila Africa, and it's called Holistic Self-Diagnosis, how to diagnose yourself holistically. And each part of the body and each part of your head represents a part of the lungs. One represents the bladder, represents the heart. Numerology also connects to that also, but it connects on a simple matter. And when I do a numerology reading for anybody else, I usually give them guidance to where they should go, because I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a holistic practitioner per se as far as certification. But as far as 1 through 9, let's say a person born under the number 1, all right? Like you're born on the 10th. I'm born on the 1st. Somebody born on the 19th, or somebody born on the 28th of every month. Anyone born on the 1st, the 10th, the 19th, or the 28th of any month should always look out for heart issues, especially as they're getting older. Irregular circulation problems, palpitations, high blood pressure is ruled. Eyes also are ruled by. So as you're getting older, or what I will tell people to look out for their children if they start getting it from a young age due to whatever happened in the family, those are things you got to look out for. So people born on the 1st, the 10th, the 19th, or the 28th of any month, always look out for circulation. Also, 1 rules high blood pressure when 3 rules low blood pressure. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Once you recognize these things, and that's what's important. Also, the number 2. And remember, there's herbs and there's fruits and there's vegetables that's connected to the numbers also. You know, we're not going to get into that. You can get my book. It's Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated on Amazon or Kindle. Yeah. Or my teacher's book, which is Lloyd Strayhorn's book, is Numbers in You. He's been on Oprah. He's been on Katie Couric. He's been on Oprah 3 times, especially in her beginning stages of the years when she first started. He's been on Oprah 3 times. He's done readings for Wesley Snipes, Erykah Badu. Even when he was going through that problem and got arrested, he already told Wesley, this is what you had to look out for. Numbers don't play. Especially and because he's born because he's born on the 31st of July, people born on the 31st or under the number 4 can go through legal issues and always have to be very clear in their communication, making sure. Why Wesley got caught up is because he didn't dot every I and cross every T. And people born under the number 4, the 4th of the month, the 13th of the month, or the 22nd of the month, or the 31st of the month have to always dot every I, cross every T, and be very clear in communication with people, or they will end up in problems, especially with the law. Bang! He read Wesley like that. And Wesley understood, but getting back to the health again, sorry. I can
and, let me tell you something, King. I want you to go where you feel led to go, because that's something go ahead.
I'm good at it. I'm good wherever I go. Now people born under the 2nd of the month, the 11th of the month, the 29th of the month, the 20th of the month also, always, because the 2 is ruled by the stomach area, and the 2 is similar and shaped like the stomach a little. So the 2 rules the stomach area, the digestive area, the digestive system. It rules the bowel area. You got internal growth in the gastric area. Always pay attention. I tell people born under the number 2, they got to drink lots of good water. Always drink plenty of water, because you have to constantly flush, and make sure you eat foods that helps to build the flora of your stomach, like the cabbage juice and certain things that did to build your stomach flora. Very important. Turnips are good. Lettuce is good. Certain lettuce. Cucumber is good for the stomach. So those type of things. People born under number 2 should always be careful where they eat and who they eat from. That's why most number 2s get into the healing modality, like Dr. Sebi's wife got into the healing. A friend of mine named Nadra, born on the 29th, get into the healing and health. My good friend Chad Bosman, who trained martial arts with me, the star of Black Panther and Jackie Robinson, he's born on the 29th. He got into eating more vegetarian meals, and I've done a reading for him too. See, people don't, it's in my Instagram. You can look, he bought my book. He has my book. So it is what it is. So
Black Panther is using this, y'all. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So I've been around, put it like that. I've worked with Tupac and different other people. So I've been around in my life. So it is what it is. So people born under the number 3. Let's go to the number 3. People born under the number 3. Anybody born on the 3rd of the month, born on the 12th of the month, born on the 21st of the month, or the 30th of the month, always have to be careful of their nervous, and don't let people get on your nerves. Don't allow people to get on your nerves. Don't overstrain your nerve. Be careful of developing various forms of skin problems, usually because you let your nerves overwhelm you. Your nerves are connected to your skin, so they overwhelm your skin and cause problems. And like I said earlier, the number 3 rules low blood pressure. So if I see a person in their name with a lot of 1s and a lot of 3s, I always tell them to recognize or check out their blood pressure, especially as you're getting older. Because when we're younger, we think we're invincible. We eating every darn thing if we wasn't taught right. We eating everything. We eating the pig from the snooty to the tootie. We eating everything. Right. But also with a number 3, don't overwork yourself. Find a day, and usually I point that out in the numerology, what day is good for you to like relax, take time for yourself. Remember, you're in a finite world. If you want to go back to the infinite, fine. That's up to you. If you're ready to go back to the infinite, that's up to you. But in a finite world, the body has to rest. It's a prison. This is a prison because actually the spirit is much more stronger than the body. The spirit is always trying to get out of here. Right. But it's a prison until it's time to go. Okay. But that 3, don't overwork yourself. And again, pay attention to any foot issues or kidney issues. Always pay attention to that. I tell number 3s. This is not just pertaining to children, but it's pertaining to adults. And those who don't have those who want to find out what book I have on children, this is the book for the children. Numbers are simple. Our children's health is important, but it's also good for adults because it identifies every little health issue from the first day to the 31st day of the month. From the 1st of the month to the 31st of the month. Go ahead, sister.
No, I was just going to say, King, you got people that are on here right now that are confirming everything that you're saying because we know that it is true. I got a friend right here, Marvin Furlow, who mentioned his son was born on the 29th. It's the same type of issues you're mentioning. And here's the thing. Knowledge applied is power. And this is what you're getting right now. Exactly. And all of this applies to every aspect of your life. So I didn't want to cut you off, but I just want you to know there are people right here that are recognizing it.
And let me tell the family out there, this does not take you away from your religion or what you believe. It only enhances what you believe to realize that, God made the numbers. God made it connect to us. God made the stars to, think about it. And just to veer off a little, if the 3 wise men didn't recognize that star, they wouldn't find the Christ.
Right.
They studied astronomy. They understood this. Right. And why did they bring frankincense and myrrh? Frankincense and myrrh in ancient time was used for pregnant women for the pain, to reduce pain. People don't even know that. Study that. And of course, gold was brought because he was representing a king. He come from the lineage. So we got to understand the spiritual depth of that. And they was doing a home birth. They were born in a major. It was a home birth. There wasn't no hospital back in those days. No hospitals. Right. None of the drama. It was a low light, candles. Everything was real cool. That's why, ladies out there, if you're not having complications, I always implore y'all to give birth at home or do that natural birth as much as possible. I tell you, I implore you to do that because that's where it all started. Before there was hospice and hospitals, they did it without all that. Y'all know how to do this naturally and squat down or do it in the water, whatever you could do. But make sure you understand all of it, study it and research it yourself. It's a joyous thing. It's not supposed to be labor. Anytime we think about labor, we think about pain and this. It's supposed to be joy. Y'all can have drumming going on while the baby coming out. Y'all can have a big old joyous African party. I know that's what you're going to have, right, sister?
That's my plan, bro. But yes. Okay, so let's get back on with the numbers.
Let me go back to the health.
Are we at 4? Yes.
Yeah, we have 4. Now, 4. I know, I'm having fun. That's my 3 in me. That's that 3 in me. That's why attitude. Always keeping it happy.
And Aquarius.
Because I love what I do. I love what I do. And people don't understand. I love what I do. And I love to help people. That's what it's about. For you to be your best. Now, we're up to number 4. And 4 in numerology and it's coming out of my book too. I wrote it in my book. You go to this book is here. It's called Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. All of it is on Amazon and Kindle. You can get it down by King Simon. And number 4, you can suffer from mysterious ailments that are difficult to diagnose. What I find, which is real strange, because I find a lot of friends of mine born under the number 4 only because of mental issues. And sometimes the 4 attracts mental issues, head, bladder, kidney issues, and those kind of pains of mine. Being mindful of depression. Usually if a 4 is under some type of depression, that leads to more problems. It leads to wanting to hurt themselves, painting themselves or hurting themselves in some way, but it also leads to other problems that could cause other things in the body. Because remember, the mind is connected to the body, and what you put in the mind, you have to be very careful of your thoughts. So anytime I deal with 4s, I always tell people born on the 4th of the month, the 13th of the month, the 22nd of the month, or the 31st of the month. Always get more than one opinion when you go to a doctor. Do not settle for one opinion, because remember, it's called pharmacy. And pharmacy is a form of, the pharmaceuticals practice a form of sorcery, in the sense that they try to put things in your mind and your head so you can always live with that and think, oh, me is mine. You get that old depressive attitude, that old me is my attitude, when all you really have to do is Take what they tell you as far as the allopathic doctors, but people born under the number 4 or the number 8, I always tell you to go to your homeopathic doctors, go to your naturopathic doctors, go to every different type of doctor dealing with natural healing and even a hypnosis to get your mind right, to get your mind intact and in point. I tell them to do that because 4s and number 7s have a tendency to go into depression or worry or mental issues for some problem. I've known people born under the number 7 that have checked themselves into the hospital. I've known people born under the number 4 that has checked themselves into the hospital due to mental issues and mental depression. And sometimes, remember, numerology covers the different years that you're in. It covers the different days and months that you're in. So it deals with those things. So you could be going like, I'm going into a 6 year. So a 6 years tell me next year I'm going into a 6 year because 2 February, that's 2 plus the 1 equals 2 and plus 2019, which is a 3 adds up to a 12, which is a 3 equals 6 altogether. And 6 means I have to maintain my balance and health. I have to maintain my balance within myself. I have to maintain truth, justice, reciprocity, and honesty with myself in order for it to come out to other people and maintain a real healthy balance about who I am and deal with the earth more often. Go to the parks. So I understand what year I'm going to and what to recognize. And that's what numerology helps you to do. What month you're going to. Like right now, I'm in my number 7 personal month. So I know 7 is not only a spiritual communication month, but it's also an introspection month. Looking back in what I've done in the past month. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it necessary? Was it looking and being more forthright of how I'm going to move forward into the next months to come. So that's how numerology guides you through your calendars and let you understand. So finishing off the 4 month, remember, 4s also learn to avoid being depressed. And I tell 4s again, do not watch the news. The news can be very depressing. People with the 4 energy are going through that 4 year or have a multitude of 4s in their chart. Don't watch the news. Get that second or third hand. Get it at the job. Get it somewhere else. Try to always maintain motivation in your head. People born under the number 4. Like you born with the master number 22, you always have to keep yourself motivated. Because that 22 is a number 4 and it can go through a whole lot. Imagine how many things you've gone through in your mind that has either led you that kept you either positive or negative, or sometimes that negative thought comes about. We always have to pay attention to that. That's why I say you got to learn to strengthen your strength and manage your weaknesses. And numerology helps us to do that. And it just gives you a reminder. That's all it is. It's a reminder of what to do. It don't control you. It doesn't control your life. It's just a reminder here in this physical realm, because outside of this physical realm, we don't need it. But in the earth is the learning center, family. The earth is the learning center. That's why we all came out here. And most ancient scientists or ancient people that practice any type of ancient system will tell you that we all chose to come here, from the very crippled to the very rich. We chose to come here to experience. And remember, in astrology, there's a 26,000 year procession dealing with astrology, and then they have a 2,160 year procession that's dealing with astrology also, when it deals with the different signs that is going through. Like we entered the Aquarian age. We just came out of the Piscean age, and we came out of the Aries age. We got to understand these signs, because we keep on saying that to everything there's a season and there's a cycle. The Bible tells you this, and we don't think we have a season, a cycle. We think only women have seasons and cycle because they go through menstruation. Men has a cycle too. Sometimes men can act like Mitches. Sometimes men act like Mitches, and women want to tell you acting like a Mitch or biatch or whatever they want to call you.
It's because you don't know your season.
So men has a cycle too. Exactly. We got a season, and women got a season. We came from them. We got seasons too.
Yeah.
We got breasts, but they just don't work.
Right.
They don't understand. But let's go into the number 5.
Okay, and then I want to make sure we go back, because there's a very simple thing that you said as it relates to charting your year. You said you're going into your 6th year. Can you repeat how a person can calculate that? Because I think that's one of the things that you can walk away with.
Before I go to the number 5, right? 6. How did I recognize that I'm going to my 6th year? You add how you recognize you're going into your own personal year. You add the month you were born, just like you're born the 12th. I mean, the 10th of December plus the 10 plus 2019, the year that's coming. Right. Then you add that up. It adds up to 2041. So you're going into a number 7-year cycle next year on your birthday. I'm talking about you, Kecia. Yes. You're going to right now. You're in the 6-year cycle. Where I'm going in, cycle. You're in it. You're in the 6-year cycle, and you'll be officially in it on your birthday only because you're born in the last months. I go from birthday to birthday. You have some numerologists that go from year to year. I tell people, even though that you're born in the last of the months, your 6-year cycle is still in play until your next birthday. You'll start feeling the effects of the 7-year cycle coming in, because you'll start feeling that you want to be, because of what happened in your 6th year, it could be family and all that kind of stuff that you're going through. You start wanting to get silence and be to yourself. You start feeling that effect, and it's coming in strong. And it's coming. And I tell people all that there's what we call sneak peek months also. The sneak peek months of the year to come, it usually happens around September going into October. Those are the sneak peek months to let you know what's to come in 2019. Not really foretelling anything, but it's just reminding you of what's the frequency that you should be on when you go into this year. And it could be one of your challenge years. It could be one of your good years, because every number has a challenge. Every number has a good. And is challenge bad? No, challenge is not bad. Challenge are made to be overcame. And that's why they always say that don't kill you only makes you stronger. So numerology helps you to be alert and be aware of that. That don't kill you makes you stronger. Numerology ain't gonna kill you. It makes you stronger when you understand your map to be better, to be that Christ figure in your own being and your own life. And exactly. And be beyond that. You could be like Enoch, walking right into heaven. You could be like Methuselah, walking right into heaven. Experience no death. You know what I'm saying? Death meaning ignorance.
Right. That is a great death. But I want to say that someone said, can you repeat the calculations? I'm not going to ask you to repeat it, King Simon. No. I'm going to say it and you confirm it, okay? So if you're trying to figure out what your year is, what you're going into, 2019 is right around the corner, your own personal year. You take your birth month, which mine is December, so that's the number 12, and you take your birthday, which is mine is the 10th, and I also add 2019 to it. You reduce it to the lowest number, and that's how you get whatever your birth year is. And thank you, my sister Courtney. She just shared it as well. So,
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you. I do try. All right, come on. Let's do number 5.
Number 5. Okay, now number 5, people born on the 5th of the month, people born on the 14th of the month, and people born on the 23rd of the month can suffer, like the number 3, can suffer from nervous problems and mental fatigue and insomnia. If you know 5, people born on the 5, their minds are all over the place. That's why they call the jack of all trades the master of none. So you got to be careful of being too scattered, number 5. So, and that's why insomnia, a lot of 5s I notice, or people in their 5 year or their 5 month, they find themselves waking up or staying awake too long. People under that number 5 energy, and 5s and people born under number 5 or under the sign of Virgo and Gemini usually are my biggest skeptics. 5, because 5s are so brilliant and they feel they know so much. They got so much going on. They can't believe that what we're saying sometimes until I prove it to them and show them how it works. And then they start realizing that some of the health diagnoses, that's why people born under number 5 always should get some rest. They always should take time to themselves. They should never overexert themselves, because they can be the over partying animal themselves. Now, let me tell you something. Those that might be born on the 5th, the 23rd, or the 14th of the month that are not party animals, it could go another way, because you could be born under one of the emotional signs. That's why my teacher does astronumerology. I do astronumerology also, but my strength is numerology. And sometimes if your sign is more of that homebody sign and not that party-like sign, The 5 can be also addictive in their home, or addicted to sex, or addicted to drinking, or addicted to drugs in their own home instead of being out there amongst the crowd, or doing something that's over addictive, like over addicted to candy or other stuff. So you always got to pay attention to that number 5. Like, okay, Walt Disney was born December 5th. Little Richard was born December 5th. Quincy Jones born the 14th of March. And Walt Disney suffered 2 major nervous breakdowns. What did I say? 5 rules the nerves.
Right.
Walt Disney suffered. Little Richard suffered nervous breakdown. And of course, we all know Usher. Usher was into sex and illicit. He's partying, doing it. You know, he got that's what it is. Yeah. 5 rules that. And we also, 5, I always tell people, be careful, because 5 has a tendency to be illicit in their sex. They want to do it here, they want to do it there, they want to do it with whomever they want, because they love their freedom so much. They want to be free to do whatever they want. But where there's freedom, there comes responsibility, number 5. You got to be responsible with your slinging of this and slinging of that and giving of this and giving of that. You got to be moving right along.
Moving right along. What is the truth anyhow? These 5, somebody's hollering. Okay, come on. Number 6. Who you got? 6.
No, number 6. People born under number 6 rules the throat area, nose, sinus area, rules the upper part of the lungs, and hay fever and blood circulation, bronchitis, asthma. When it comes to women, it deals with the breast. When it comes to men, it deals with the chest. When it comes to sexual organ, the 6 and the 9 rules the sexual organ. So 6 is, because remember, 5 and 6 are magnetic, sexual, and sensual numbers. So I've never seen an ugly number 6. Never seen an ugly number 6 person. So most of the 6 that I've seen in my life has been very beautiful women, or very handsome men, have always been that way, or have a very handsome and beautiful attitude about themselves. You know what I'm saying? So 6 rules the sexual. Remember, 6 and sex is the same word.
Same word.
That's why. Think about it. 6 is sex. That's why after a certain multitude of numbers, it becomes sextillion. After a certain amount of numbers, especially in mathematics, it comes sextillion. It's not 6 trillion, it's sextillion tons of this and that. So sex is just a matter of the changing of the vowels. And vowels are interchangeable in the science of language. See, that's why. So sex and 6 is the same thing. So 6 and sex, anybody born under 6 loves some sex. And and if you find yourself in that 5 and 6 year, you'll find that in a 5 and 6 personal year, you find that you have more attraction. I see certain women coming towards me in this year and that year. I have to be very mindful and on my P's and Q's when
going into this year. Okay.
But I was in my 5 year and going into my 6 year, so I'm feeling the energy. So they love my energy, so it is what it is. I'm just having fun.
We love you too.
But also 6 is, make sure you avoid eating fattening foods and avoid eating, always get frequent checkups, especially when it comes with the breast and when it comes with your vaginal or your penis area as men, and vaginal area for women. So you always have to be very mindful in the 5 and 6 year around those times, because it gets a little crazy, because people start throwing all kinds of things at you, or you find women always get men chasing them down, but and usually they're chasing you down for sex. Which is a 6. So you got, they want to do all kinds of 6s. Yeah. But let's go to 7.
7. Let's go.
It's a family show here. It's a family show.
We got kids. But go ahead. Hey, we grown. Go ahead. Number 7. Now,
7 is one of those numbers that worries too much, and they usually suffer from mental frustration. That's why I told people about the 4 and the number 7. They always got to protect their mind. If you're in a number 4 or 7 year, you got to protect your mind. If you have a multitude of 4s and 7 in your numbers, you have to protect your mind. If you're in a 4 and 7 month, I had to protect my mind in my number 7 month, and I listened to constant motivational lectures to keep my mind right, so I can always, before I go to bed and as I wake up, to keep my mind right, because usually what goes in your mind don't leave your mind. That's why you have to overtake your mind with the positive and try to leave the negative alone. So number 7, because they suffer from mental issues, and that number 7 has a tendency to imagine the worst of things.
Huh.
They'll talk their way out of things. They talk their way out of things. If they're supposed to do something, they end up talking their way out of what they're supposed to do because their mind is spinning so much and they're so over analytical and meticulous about what goes. People born on the 4 and the 7, guarantee if they left their phone right behind them and they know they put their phone there, if somebody moved it, they knew they moved it because they're so meticulous. They know what they're doing with their stuff, especially with their technology and what. So they're very meticulous. That's why they always have to protect their mind. Also, 7 is a water number, and we can get into that too. They have to protect their stomach. They have to protect their digestive system also as a number 7, because through your worry or your digestion cause outer problem like boils and pimples and rashes. So 7, moving right along, we go to something else. All right, number 8. 8 in numerology can suffer from major headaches. They rule the 8. They rule the 8. 8 rules the headaches. It rules blood disorder. It rules rheumatism. It rules liver problems, bowels, intestines. It rules the excretory system. It also rules the knees, the teeth, the bones can be very problematic. And always because. Remember, because, and look at the 8. Look at the 8. It's shaped like the intestine. Yeah. It's shaped like the intestine. You know what I'm saying? And people might call it the infinity symbol. No, 8 and infinity is 2 different things. Infinity is the connective sideway 8, what they might call the sideway, but actually 8 is 2 zeros, one going one way and one going the other way. And 8 represents build and destroy. Those who studied the 5% nation and all that, it represents actually build and destroy, where you could either be a builder or a destroyer of your legacy, because it's a legacy leaving numbers. And it's also an ancestral number that says that you're supposed to pay attention to the ancestors and your bloodline, and also that you're supposed to leave a legacy for your family to come. Yeah. Everybody's supposed to do it, but 8 is a very dominant number that deals with money, power, legacy. But on the health tip, they have to protect what they put in their mouth, and be careful of eating too much red meat, because remember, the parasites, the parasitical parts of the meat attach to your inside too, and then it shrinks the intestines from within, and then you'll start having problems with the intestine, especially as you're getting older.
Gotcha.
Okay.
You got people on the line. It's like, that's me. So that's the 8th, or if you're born on the 17th or the 26th.
Born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th of the month, or you have a lot of 8s in your numbers, or you have a lot of 8s in your charts and your namesake. Let's say 8, you might have a lot of Fs or Ps, or you might have a lot of H or Qs or Zs. If you have the H and those, or your name adds up to the 8, or your personal one personal name, let's say your active name, which your active name is Kecia. Let's say it added up to the 8. And because it adds up to a 12, you always have to pay attention to your nerves. See, it goes with the name and goes with the birthday. So, but because it adds up to a 12, you have to pay attention to your nerve. But because it has a 1 and a 2, you also have to pay attention to your blood pressure and pay attention to your stomach, and be careful what you eat, because it adds up to the 12. And each number has its vibration and as its frequency. So we have to understand those vibrations and frequency. So numerology just helps us to give us a bird's eye view of what we're supposed to look for in our health, in our relationship, in our business, how to move forward. It's even connected to land masses or places you're supposed to move to, all of that. Some places, think about it, some places that you live, you're not supposed to be there. You find you're having more problems where you live at now than when you go to either Atlanta or when you go to New York. You feel better. Maybe your number, maybe where you're living is not where you're supposed to be. Just like there was a gold rush back in the day. People didn't find gold over here, so they went to California for the gold. Where is your gold rush? Where are you supposed to find your gold and your prosperity? Some of us don't recognize that. So in numerology, I help to reveal that and pinpoint and point it out to you. Is it hard work? Of course it's hard work. Nothing is easy in life. But if you're persistent and you're determined and you're consistent, you can make anything happen in this realm for the amount of time that you're in, depending on what you're doing, whether it's positive or negative, is up to you. But let's go to 9. Let me finish off the 9 and we're done.
Okay.
All right. Anybody born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th of the month. One thing about the 9, because it's a hot number, they attract fevers, measles, chickenpox, anything dealing with the flus. They have to be very careful about being in a crowd of people that might be sneezing or coughing. They have to always be careful. Also, 9 is known as the accident-prone number, along with the number 5, but number 9 is more the accident-prone number, dealing with burns, cuts, bruises, car accidents. So I always tell 9s, you might be a great driver, but the knuckleheads around you might not be great drivers. So you always have to be very careful. You know, if you're going to get into weapons, because 9 rules war and weapons, like you got the 45 in the office. Okay, that rules all that kind of stuff. But you got to remember, recognize, if you're going to get into weapons, I always tell people born under the number 9, they should at least to learn to be proficient by going to recommended dojos or gun ranges and all that kind of stuff. Learn to master the weapon if you're born under the number 9 or have a lot of 9s in your chart, or you're in your birthday is a number 9, or you're in a 9 life path, or you have a 9 alignment number, because that 9 is also the universal love energy. It also deals with not being overindulgence in certain vices. Just like 5, it can overindulge too. 9 can, because 9 is the income. 9 is the highest number in the whole numbers chart, from 0 to 9. That's the highest number in the numbers chart. But what happens is that 9 takes on all the energies of the numbers with them. And you have to be very mindful, because all those energies of the numbers are running through you, number 9, because you are the highest. That's why I tell number 9s to avoid arguments, because they can get into some arguments. That's one thing about 8s and 9s. When they get into arguments, they'll turn up. But 9 is the turner-upper. They turn up. And
okay.
So they have to, I tell 9s, always think on a higher level and don't ever stoop down, because you are the highest of all vibration, as far as the 1 through 9, the 0 through 9, until it starts repeating itself into 10, 11, 12. But 9 is the highest vibration on the numbers chart. That's why in ancient history, the Chaldeans didn't show 9. So if you go to a Chaldean or Chaldean system, you might see 1 through 8, because they believe 9 was such a highly spiritual number of universal love and peace. And on the other hand, it could be war. Like I said, numbers have duality. It can be war, pillaging, killing, murder. They revered the number 9 as a high frequency number, so they never put it in their chart. It's Pythagorean that took it from them and decided to put it in his chart. Like most people, they get a little arrogant, but he never understood the spiritual depth of why the Chaldeans didn't have it. That's why 9, although 9 would show up in the Chaldean chart, they would still read it, but they will always pay very close attention to that person that was born under 9, especially with their anger, because although they could be universal love and peace, they could also be a very angry person. That's why I always tell number 9s to do. Number 9s, people born on the 9 to 18 to 27, they have a way with their tongue, that their tongue could rip through somebody. That's why I always tell number 9s, if you're going to tell the truth, tell it with love, because number 9s say what they mean and mean what they say all the time. If you got music, let's say you made a new album, Miss Jones, and you said,
I am.
Let me let them. Okay, you say, make sure you let a person born under the number 9, 18, or 27 hear it, because they'll tell you the truth.
Oh, that's good.
I would rather them tell you with love.
Right.
You know, tell you with love. That I would always tell you with love, and understand that is their loving way, because some 9s will rip. People always say that the sword is stronger than words, but that's not true. We know that the sword is strong, it cuts, but words cuts even deeper. Yeah. Words cut even deeper. So I always tell number 9s to be careful with their words and how they use it.
Well, King, I'm gonna tell you, the line over here is going wild. You can't see this. Everybody's talking about their life path number. I need to get a reading. So I need to figure this out. So I want to make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with King Simon. I also want to say this is a part of our coaching series. This is why we're doing that. So I want to end with a last question about coaching. But before I do that, let them know how they can connect with you. You can get any one of his books, but I'm gonna let you do that. Go ahead.
First, of course, thank you very much once again, Kecia, for allowing me to be on your platform. I enjoy you immensely. From the very first time you gave me a hug in Atlanta, in Georgia, you knew who I was. I knew who you was. And that was it. We was comfortable. I felt comfortable around you. Now, family, you can get my books on Amazon and Kindle. I got 3 books, and I have 7 more to go. But my first book was this. This was my first book. It's being revised. It's called No Promotion is Bad Promotion. And All Publicity is Good Publicity. Just spell my name right. It's actually my promotional book on how to promote anywhere, wherever you are. If you want to promote low-level events, to large events. I cover all of them. From flyers to social media, that's my book. That's why I revised it, because social media has taken off. But I've broken it down to a very simple matter. It's called No Promotion is Bad Promotion. Then my second book was Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. It is an easy numerology guide to help with human behavior. Also, it's a basic numerology book. It's not that big, it's not that thick. But I do put in the back of the book who you can look up if you want to really study in depth. I give you recommended reading, like my teacher's book, Lloyd Strayhorn. This is one of my teachers, Numbers and You. I always employ people to buy this book too, alongside my book, because he goes in even on where you're living, the cars you should buy, all that kind of stuff. He goes in on these books. You know, what is more higher and stronger with you, and what is more challenging to you. And of course, right now, last but not least, of course, Numbers Are Simple. Our children's health is important. In this book, I give you a recommended reading from the Dr. Africas, the Queen of Fools, and different other books. Also, the Dr. Sabis and all that. Also, I give you a vaccine exemption link, because we know vaccine has been connected to autism and different types of various problems in our children. We give you the link to Dr. Phil Valentine, who in America started the first vaccine exemption paperwork for the courts and for schools throughout the world of America first. And he started it back in the 90s. He did that for my children back in the 90s, and it has helped them. It was only till me and my wife divorced is when she started doing that. But the paperwork works. And me and my children, matter of fact, my son just visited. He's upstairs. He visited me right now. He just came in. But if you want to get a consultation with me, it's easy to get a consultation. My consultation is $2 per minute, a minimum of 35 minutes to an hour. So 35 minutes is $70. If you want it recorded, there's an extra $20, which is $90. And if you want the full hour, it's $130 for the whole hour. I even go over because I want to make sure you get it. And it's recorded, and then it's sent to you so you can listen to it over and over and over again. And I do tell people to take my classes. I will be teaching classes during the spring equinox online. I usually teach it to my Facebook private page on Facebook. And if you want to find out more information at that, you can go to my website, kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. That's King Simon Productions with an S at the end, .wordpress.com, or kingsimonproductions.eventbrite.com. That's King Simon Productions with an S at the end with .eventbrite.com. That's to all my events that I produce. Also, numbersaresimple.com. That's my website also, numbersaresimple.com. And an easy way to do it, text me. Tell me you heard me on Kecia Jones show, or Kecia L Jones. I gotta make sure the L is there. Stop playing.
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Don't forget the L, because we're gonna put the
numbers
L
right
in
there that I gotta have.
L in it. That's the 3.
I know what
the 3 number.
Yeah.
Kecia L Jones. And so you heard me on Kecia L Jones. And please, we'll do a numerology session. You could text me your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. I'll say it one more time. 347-496-1022. My YouTube channel is King Simon Presents on YouTube, King Simon Presents on YouTube, or you can just Google me up and say King Simon Numerology. You'll find me with Sonetta, Brother Rich, and different other people. And if you're in the Georgia area, family,
yes,
on Richard Pryor's birthday, I will be at the Silver Talisman in Stone Mountain Main Street. That's 978 Main Street, Stone Mountain, Georgia. I will be teaching on how to use numerology for guidance. You can RSVP by calling the number 470-343-8484. That's 470-343-8484. It's $20 the love gift, advanced love gift, and then more at the door. Starts at 7 p.m. We're going all the way to probably like 10. Depends on how to be Saturday. So I might go to 11 and we have a little party and get together so I can talk to the people. Yeah. But if you want to go to the website and get the tickets, the advanced tickets, you can go to Silver Talisman Boutique. That's SILVER Talisman, TALISMAN Boutique, BOUTIQUE.com. That's Silver Talisman boutique.com, and you can get your advanced tickets. Go to the events page and you get your advanced tickets there to see me live. I'm like this. I'm like this. I'm going to teach.
Oh, he is
I'm
really
going to teach
like
from a board. I'm going to teach from a board too. I'm going to teach.
So now let me say this. First of all, you stay on it with the spelling. You have to break all of that down. But you will be in Atlanta on December 1st. But ladies and gentlemen, let me also say he will be with me on December 15th. So
Yes.
we are supposed to be talking about that. So we'll make sure you know that information as well. But I want to end with this because King Simon, you are phenomenal. I will say doing a reading with him, he does really take the time. I really suggest doing the recording. I listened to the recording over and over because you need to be reminded of these things. You can't just listen to it one time. But with that being said, this is for our coaching series. There's a lot of people that have been interested in doing coaching. And with creation coaching, we do it totally different. We do it totally different in the sense of understanding that you are creators and that you are whoever your client is, they are also a creator of their own life. And so we look at numerology, we look at astrology, we look at the non-physical aspects of their life, their subconscious, their unconscious, their conscious mind. We break all those different things down. This is why we're doing this because I love what you said. Numbers are simple. People are complicated. If you can understand the math, you've mentioned this before. We didn't talk about it tonight, but businesses have been using this for forever to break down their employees, who they're working with. So you want to say something to that? Go ahead.
Let me say something. You know, it was, and let me just get a book real quick. I got to show you this book. Okay, real quick. Excuse me.
Okay.
You know, I always come with the information.
You always do.
I always come. You see all them books behind me? I went to another library. This book here. This was written by Karen Christino. It's called Foreseeing the Future, but it's written by Evangeline Adams, an astrologer. She was the astrologer for J.P. Morgan. I want y'all to Google up. I want everybody to Google up what J.P. Morgan said about astrology because he said astrology. He said something in regards to astrology and being millionaires and astrology being used by billionaires. Now, it was this woman that told J.P. Morgan not to go on the Titanic because she did a reading for him, and he watched most of his friends died on the Titanic, and remember, he was a big investor in the Titanic, J.P. Morgan, one of the big bankers of that time. So he invested in that cross the seas thing, and because she told him not to go on the Titanic, and remember, Ronald Reagan also had the advisor. His wife was also part of studying this. Remember, when you find out about advisors, presidents have up to at least 300 advisors. And one of them is dealing with astrology and numerology. As a matter of fact,
break it down,
this book here by Michael Brill, and I've showed this at a class. You've seen this class, but you've seen this before, Kecia. This man, Michael Brill, let me read you just a brief thing about Michael Brill. Michael Brill said he's a numerologist since 1985. Has worked with schools, businesses, government, including 10 years with the aerospace industry and 2 years with NASA.
Yeah.
What is a numerologist doing working with NASA and the government? Because, people, one thing about America, because why they call themselves the superpower is because a superpower always want to take the powers of other places that had the power, and they want to use it to their benefit. America has studied voodoo. America has studied, and that's why that movie, Serpent in the Rain. Study those movies. They go over to these different places to find out what made those people so powerful and then bring it back to their people and then use these different modalities. That's why you have Skull and Bones. Y'all realize that the presidents, all of them, plus Obama, was under Skull and Bones. Please know this. Understand that. If you know that science, I don't care if you love them or not. Right. All the presidents was under this system of Skull and Bones where they had to sleep in coffins and understand pyramids and the skeletons and all that. They know this stuff. You got to know it yourself. It's your science that they're taking and using against you. It's your history. That's why they can't go where you go in dreams. That's why with the melanin, and a good book to get before I finish, I got to show you this. This book, boom, this book, Melanin, a key to freedom, understanding what makes, it's not just the pigment in the skin, but what makes us have more vivid dreams, what makes us taste better, melanin in our bodies. This Richard King was the premier medical doctor in the science of melanin. So
Yes.
please get the books that I show y'all.
Yes.
Please get into understanding science, please, because it's about collecting. They have libraries and they cherish their libraries. A good movies to remember is the Book of Eli. That they at the end of the
Yes.
movie, Denzel Washington,
Yes.
they put the book, they had the Quran there, they had all the books, they had the Quran, all the spiritual books, but they had to preserve their history through libraries. And that's what we need to do for our own children. Each one of you out there is a book. Each one of you is a writing book and a walking book. And if you don't preserve your own history to pass on to your children and your children's children's children, they won't know nothing about you. Go see, go. I like what the guy said in Creed. If you don't do what you love, you don't exist. If you don't do what you love, I'm going to see Creed too. I already got my early bird ticket.
I love it.
I'm going to. And one more thing before family. Numbers are simple. People are complicated. Why I do this is to guide. I can get into gematria. I can get into Kabbalah. I can get into all the deep stuff. But if you don't learn to understand yourself and know thyself to be a better person, knowing Kabbalah and gematria and all that stuff, it ain't gonna help you. Some people study gematria. You can Google up gematria and they'll tell you why 9/11 was and why this plane crashed and why this boat crashed. But books like this, The Secret Science of Numerology, from a Hebrew perspective, I study these books. Yeah. You can tell I'm writing, marking up, I'm highlighting, I'm breaking it down. Yeah, but I'm telling you, I do basic readings so you can have a basic understanding of yourself and move forward and be the highest and wisest that you're supposed to be. I've done Friends of Prince. I won't even say their name. They called me and done a number. I've done Soleil and Professor Griff, and they have united in a perfect union, working together to build their life together. So Soleil and Professor Griff, and I've done other artists. Chadwick Boseman, I've done them. So I know that this thing works. It's just how you apply it and how you apply it on the positive and the highest and wisest level. So remember, people, in this realm, every one of us is connected to a number, from your birth certificate to your death certificate to the clock, the time, the work, the paycheck, everything is connected to number. Try going a day without numbers. Yeah, it's going to be hard, because when you listen to the radio or the television, it's a frequency connected. If you don't know how to turn it to WBLS 105.9, you'll never be able to hear that station. Or 105.9, you'll never be able to, or Power 105, you'll never be able to hear that station. You got to understand the numbers and its frequency. Our brain waves operate on frequency and numbers and all that. We have to understand it. It's ours right here in this world, and it came from us originally. I love y'all.
I love you. I love you. I thank you so much. I thank you so much. I know people are in awe. They are applauding. They are feeling the love right here. I'm just really grateful, because the whole point of this is to get us to the place where we know ourselves, to know our own power and our own ability. So I want to say thank you so much, King. We will definitely make a list of the books. We'll make sure that they have information if they didn't get to write it all down, to connect with you, or you can replay this video. But I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you.
I want to say thank you, sister. And we're going to be doing some acting stuff too. Look out for that,
guys. Yeah, I haven't given up on theater. We're actually going to be working together with that. So more things to come. But go ahead.
I want you to help me with Phyllis Yvonne Stickney. You remember Phyllis Yvonne Stickney, the actress?
I saw a picture with you and her.
Exactly. Yes. She's a dear friend of mine for 20-something years, and I'm going to be helping her to produce her 30th anniversary celebration in the acting world. So she's going to do a one-woman play. So we're going to talk.
We'll talk.
She's going to do one play. It's going to be her celebration, and we're going to do what we got to do to make it happen.
Okay, big things are happening. We love you all. Thank you, King. If you have any more questions, please tune in. This is 7 days at 7 p.m. Power Series for individuals to also learn how to coach your own self, how to coach your own family, and to be prepared for 2019. We love you all. I see you. I'll talk to you soon. Good night.
Take
all
care,
right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.